Pursuits by Skoda. Only on Bloomberg Quint.
Hello and welcome. You're watching us Speak You on Bloomberg Quint. I am Agam Vakil and with me is Alex Matthew. Hi Alex.
Hey Agam. Well, if you've got questions on equity, then you can send those questions to us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube and WhatsApp. You can also call us on 022-454-04141 or you can mail us on askbq@bloombergquint.com.
Right then, let's get on with the markets and take a look at how they are faring. And we are looking at, subdued cues coming in from the way, at least the benchmark indices are moving, considering flattish movements. But the Nifty, is strongly above the mark of 11,000. That perhaps is a positive, as is the case for the Sensex, about 36,600. In terms of your banking indices, at least as far as a Nifty Bank is concerned, that is also trending just marginally in the red and are at around 27,600. Coming down to your broader market indices, the picture is no different. Mid-cap and the small-cap index, again, trending lower by just a bit, though the small-cap index is today underperforming by a notch. And in terms of gainers and losers, as far as the indices go, well, we have Lawson & Toubro advancing by 2.5%, followed by M&M. HPCL also up as much as 1.7% among other gainers in trade. We also have traction in Adani Ports, Bharti Infratel and Tata Motors. But the gainers really don't have as much momentum. It's not like the volumes are great either. But in terms of losers, let's bring up the set. So you have a weakness of as much as 2.3% in Indiabulls Housing Finance, Indian Oil Co-op as well, down 2%. And Yes Bank looking at a bout of, profit taking, down 2%. Wipro, Vedanta and Coal India also currently trending in the red. But on the whole, it's been a very quiet day of trade so far, Alex.
Understandable after the last two sessions of strong gains that we've seen. Let's get our two experts in for the day. We've got Vikas Jain of Reliance Securities and Sandeep Jain of Tradeswift Broking, who are here to answer all of your questions this afternoon. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Sandeep, starting with you, we've got a number of questions this week of relatively larger counters that have seen correction in the recent past, and viewers essentially asking whether this is the right time to add or buy on dips if they may. We've got a similar question from Akshay Mittal as well. He's talking about Nestle and Britannia, which are indeed off their recent highs. Would you recommend adding onto these counters at the present juncture?
See, at the present juncture, the situation is really different. One good thing which has happened in last 7 to 10 days was that, the market has actually in a way bottomed out. Somehow the risk of, big crack in the market indices has actually been the thing of past, and somehow 10,600, 10,700 is a very, very strong support the market will now take. And I feel that, at these levels, somehow one can really venture into small caps and mid caps. These are the names when, the markets are not doing well, when there is a big risk in the market. So one can, get into these safer names. And in fact, Nestle, Britannia or some IT stocks, for that matter, are not doing well in these last few days, because reason being, the riskier stocks, the high beta names are actually doing well. So in a year, there are very few days when, all these stocks really do well and the list becomes very big. And I feel that, and now one should venture into small caps and mid caps, and I can suggest you some names like, Nitin Spinners, NIIT Limited, then Sonata Software, though a software name, but then it's a smaller cap, then VST Industries, VST Taylor. There are so many names which actually were not doing well because mid caps and small caps were not doing well. But now I think these names will do well.
Okay, that's your view coming in on some of those names. Let's move on and take a query from WhatsApp. It's from Sudhir, and he wants to know about Nalco. And he has a 2-month view in mind. So I'm going to take this over to Vikas. Vikas, Nalco has seen some amount of traction of late. But keeping in mind the next 2 months, how would you trade Nalco? What levels would you keep an eye out on?
Well, if you look at the stock, it rotates very sharply and an equal amount of bounce back has been through. If you recollect the post results, the stock corrected from 61, 62 levels to made a low near to sub 46, 47. And equally, it has seen a good amount of rise in the last 4 or 5 trading sessions where we have seen huge amount of short covering as well as some amount of unwinding. So we believe the stock would see remain some amount of sideways. On the higher side, again, multiple resistances would continue near to 60, 61 levels. Whereas if he wants to enter, he should enter near to lower levels near to those 54, 55, which would be a 50% retracement of the current move. So it should enter near to 54, 55 for a target of 61.
All right, we've got a question on Facebook, which I'm not sure we'll be able to get an answer for, but I'll still address it. We've got Sahodaya Naidu, who's asking whether the market will get affected due to the blast in Jammu, which has been reported on various news sites and organizations. We can't say at this moment, I'm sure, because we have no clarity on that. But the markets did take into account the slight de-escalation that you saw in the tensions between Pakistan and India, and that is seen, of course, in the currency markets as well. If you can pull up the rupee, it did react today, and also yesterday it has actually come off and it is trading higher against the US dollar currently. But let's take another question in. We've got Shrikant, who's asking for a view on Suzlon and LT Foods for the short term. I'm going to come back to you, Vikas. What's the view on these two counters?
Well, for in case of Suzlon, it's a complete avoid because it's a very penny stock. The movements have been pretty erratic. The stock corrected all the way from 8-9 rupees to 3 odd rupees and an equal amount of bounce back. So it makes no sense because the stock has almost doubled over the past few weeks, and we believe again the stock should be completely avoided with a sharp correction. In case of LT Foods, you can do some amount of investment over here because the stock has seen good amount of beating, and plus the stock has multiple supports in the region of 31, 32 odd levels. So the stock can be bought at the current levels, no doubt about it, for a higher target of 45 to 47.
Okay. Well, moving on to a question from Batra ji, and his question is on InfoEdge from the long-term perspective. What can we do with this one? InfoEdge is currently trading at around 1,700 rupees per share. It recently was trading in near lifetime highs at well over 1,850 odd rupees per share. So while it has come off from its lifetime highs, it's still trading at, well, lofty valuations, if I can actually say that. It's up 40% in the last 1 year. But would you go ahead and buy into InfoEdge? Sandeep, what would your advice be to Batraji on InfoEdge?
It's a fantastic company, though, I'm very skeptical about all these online companies. But then about InfoEdge, there are so many, good revenue models the company has, like Naukri.com, which is a fantastic revenue model. Then you have 99acres.com, then Jeevansathi.com. So then Zomato, they are also having a stake in that. Then Bank Bazaar, Paisa Bazaar. So they have tremendous revenue models, and all of their websites, all of their portals, online businesses are actually revenue generating and not burning capital. So I feel that, it's a very different kind of business. And in the last budget also, there were some measures which were actually very favorable to this particular company. So that's why, if you can see, since last budget, I think it was around 1,200, 1,300, and from there, it has come up to these levels. And despite being the markets being so volatile and small caps and mid caps were not doing well, so still this company will outperform. So I feel that, those who are holding it, they should continue holding the stock. But then for a fresh buy, I think one should wait for some dips. And since there are so many other opportunities one can look at in these kind of sentiments and these kind of good markets. So I think I will not recommend a fresh buy in this stock.
Okay, Shalom Ranga on Facebook is asking for penny stocks. Shalom, most advisors on this platform would advise you not to even look at them. You've also got a question on Laopala, so I'm going to take that question to Sandeep. Sandeep, Laopala currently trading around 212, just about flat in trade today. Would you recommend getting in for the long term?
It's a fantastic company, and it has been a multi-bagger and a typical, investment quality stock. But still, looking at the valuations, somehow I'm not very, comfortable. And then somehow there are so many other options, and these kind of valuations with such a lower growth in sales. If you see the 3-year CAGR, the company is going at around 5 to 6%. The sales is going. So somehow I'm not very comfortable with these kind of lesser growth and giving such kind of higher valuations. So I feel one can continue holding the stock, but not certainly I will not recommend to buy.
Okay, well, on that note, we move on to a question from Akash. He says he holds Canfin Homes at 315. He wants a 1-year view. Please advise. Can we pull up Canfin Homes and see where it's currently trading at? Around 290, 25 points off Akash's entry price into Canfin Homes. Vikas, this one is for you. Where do you see Canfin Homes go? What levels should Akash keep in mind?
You can continue to hold on because stock structurally has seen a good amount of bottom-up formation near to those 240 to 60 levels and always bounce back from these levels. The way the movement has been pretty sharp and the movement has been with strong volumes. So I believe 325, 330 would be the immediate potential targets. And if that is being crossed, we could head higher further near to those 365, 380. So the pattern has been pretty good on the monthly charts with multiple volumes talking around. So we can continue to hold on at the current levels. Immediate target would be near to those 325 where is his purchase price. And if that has been crossed, 360, 365 would be easily achievable over the next 6 to 8 months.
Vikas, we've got another counter for you to talk about. This one is a query from Amol Barkale. He's bought Sadbhav Engineering a month back. He says at 178 rupees, which seems to be a very good entry price for this stock. He's asking, should he book out profit at this level or should he hold on? He's saying that he can hold on for another year or so.
You can continue to hold on. The price pattern has been pretty decent and we believe the stock can head further because the way the mid caps and small caps are moving and the better quality names, believe the stock is one of the pioneer in the engineering space and the pattern has been also pretty strong. So we believe 260 to 65 would be easily achievable where he can book in some profits, which has been perfectly balanced between over the next 3 to 5 weeks where we believe 260 to 265 can be easily achievable.
Okay, moving on to the auto sector, we have a question from Prasad TM. Is it a good time to accumulate Mahindra and Mahindra? That's the question that's coming in from. Sandeep, how would you compare M&M with its peers in the listed space, especially when it comes to the large cap stocks?
See, somehow M&M is a great company, great pedigree, management quality is very good, and it has corrected also. But then still, when I have to venture into, say, automobile space, four-wheeler space, so certainly I'll have Maruti as a better option because the kind of market share this company has, the kind of growth the company has shown, and the kind of return numbers the company has. So, and the brand equity the company is enjoying, particularly better than M&M, I think. So, I think I'll go with Maruti, and the levels are also not very expensive at say 7,000 levels. The downside risk is also very low. 6,500 has become a very good support. So, I think in next 2 to 3 months, the numbers will again revive. Since last 4 or 5 months, the numbers could not do well. But I feel that, looking at the rural demand, certainly Maruti will deliver better numbers in the future. So I think one should go with Maruti rather than going with M&M, if at all he has to venture into particularly automobile space.
Okay, that's a good call. Let's also get another counter out of the way. We've got Tata Motors, a few people asking about it. In fact, Rangarajan Balakrishnan is also asking about Tata Motors. Sandeep, there's this entire conversation about JLR and the current scenario in which there might be a requirement for raising of funds, selling of stake. The management has come out and said that they don't want to do that. How are you rating all of that? It's come back to that 190 level. I think we had spoken about it many months back, and it's come back to that 190 level.
Yeah, it has given some respite. In fact, looking at say 130 levels when the quarterly results came out and they had a huge loss of 27,000 crores in their balance sheet. But then everything is actually discounted in the price. That's the best part about Tata Motors. And if you see in the recent past, the promoters have actually been buying the shares of Tata Motors. And then again, they have been doing lots of, taking up lots of measures where they can curtail down on their cost. But still, I'm not very confident about, their future. But still, If one has to buy, one can buy at somewhere around 150 to 60 levels. And those who are holding it, they can continue hold it for a target of 230. And if one has to invest afresh, then he has a long-term point of view, which is at least 2 to 3 years, because things might turn up well, because we have full confidence in the management. In the past also, the company got revived. So I think in the future also it might get revived, but then one has to wait for 2 to 3 years time frame.
Okay, well, on that note, let's move on and talk about Reliance Industries, where we need a short-term view. The question is from Ujjwal Kumar. He wants a short-term view with a stop loss and a target. It's currently at 1267. It's not doing too much today, but on the whole, it's been, well, I would say, largely range bound, at least over the last few days. Vikas, what target and stop loss would you provide for in Reliance Industries in the short term?
Well, the stock has seen a strong up move over the past few days, but we believe today the stock has been flattish with reliant with the markets and been one of the heavyweights, so we continue to remain positive. On the higher side, the stock can easily achieve near to those 1310, 1350 levels. So what he can do is he can wait for some decline before entering at the current price near to those 1235, 1240 odd, with a stop of around 1205 for a target of 1310.
Okay, we've got a question from Vivek Kanodia. This one's for you, Sandeep. He's holding RBL Bank, about 100 shares, HDFC Standard Life, also another 100 shares, and he's looking for a 5+ year time horizon. He's asking if he should add more at the current levels or should he wait for dips?
I think he should wait for dips in HDFC Life, and if he has to get into a life insurance stock, the best part about this investor is that he has a long-term horizon, which is 5 years. And generally, in insurance companies, one has to actually stay invested for long, 5 to 7 years. HDFC Life is a great stock, and for this time frame, I think he will certainly make money. And RBL is also a good technology-oriented, quality, small private sector bank. So, and somehow I like the management quality also of the bank, the management efficiency, and the way they have grown in the past. So I think for 5 years time frame, he should continue holding them. And for fresh accumulation, what I feel is I really want to look into the number of stocks he has in his portfolio, and if his numbers permit, then he can certainly look at some better names, some other names also, like ICICI Pru somehow delivered good numbers. So I feel that valuations wise, ICICI Pru is trading cheaper, so he can accumulate ICICI Pru also. This way he can have diversification in the same sector. Then in banks also, DCB looks good to me, and then LIC HFL he can accumulate at these levels. So these are some stocks he can certainly look at from longer term.
Okay, we have a question from SSK26 who wants a long-term view on Mahindra & Mahindra, and I want to say that Sandeep has already suggested that while he maintains that Mahindra & Mahindra is a very good company, a fundamentally strong company, his preferences are towards Maruti Suzuki at this point, and he prefers investing in Maruti Suzuki. Moving on to the next one, we have one from Prasanjit Chaudhary, and he says he wants a technical short-term view on ITC. Let's pull up ITC and see what it's doing. It's, well, I would say it's largely consolidating. This one hasn't moved in a very, very long time. It's currently at around 287, 288. Vikas, what would you suggest with respect to ITC now?
The stock has been trading pretty flat. No doubt it showed some amount of positive momentum in the current week, from the lows of around 278.79 to 288.89, but again it failed to give a breakout. So unless until the stock gives a breakout about 291.92 levels, it would remain flat. But if he's taken with a view of short term, say 2 months, no doubt he would make money, because the stock has strong support area to those 265, 266. So he can, if the view is of 2 months, he can go long at the current price of 285 with a stop loss of around 269 for a target of 299 to 305.
Okay. Voice of the Lamb has got a question. IDFC First Bank, is it good for the next 10 years? Will it be the next HDFC Bank? Essentially, the question, Sandeep, is whether or not it can post a consistent 20% increase in profits every quarter.
It's a fantastic quality bank. In fact, when the last question was being asked, I was about to, reveal this name and suggest this name. But the reason being, in last few sessions, the stock has actually climbed up. So, it is a buy on declines, good buy on declines, and it's a quality bank. And since he has the time frame of 10 years, so the kind of management, the kind of leader the company has now, and the kind of pedigree the company has, I think, this company will certainly turn into a multi-bagger. But what I suggest is at these levels, he should wait for some more time to come down and he can accumulate at lower levels. Otherwise, he should continue holding his, the stock, and for the longer run, he will certainly make money.
Okay, all right. We have a question from Tarun Arora. He's actually taken a bunch of positions with respect to stocks. In a lot of them are options, of course. So, Tarun, unfortunately, I will not be able to take up all your queries, but I can take up, perhaps if I can choose, on India Bulls. Okay, he hasn't mentioned which one. Okay, I'm going to take up Indian Oil Corp and Yes Bank, your query on those two. First one is this question on the Indian Oil Corp 150 put. Let's take a look. Okay, so it's currently at 152. So it's not too far from it going in the money. Let's address this one and then we go to the second one. Vikas, your view on Indian Oil Corp, he's bought the 150 put. What would you suggest hold on?
As he has bought a naked put of 150 strike price, the stock is in an uptrend, but some amount of retracement cannot be ruled out, and it can correct into those 146, 147 levels when the broader markets are at. So he can continue to hold on, but he will have to keep a time stop loss. If the stock does not react over the next 3 days, he should better exit. Otherwise, time decay will kill the premium.
He is sitting on a little bit of a profit. And the second one is Yes Bank, the 220 put, which he has bought at 6.3. Let's also pull up Yes Bank in the meantime and take a look at where it's currently trending. Yeah, so that particular put is now 6.5. Okay, so he's making a little bit of profit, but Yes Bank, its underlying is at around 230 rupees. Vikas, what is the probability of Yes Bank moving back around 220 now?
Yeah, the IVs have been pretty sharp. The stock has seen a considerable up move, so some profit booking cannot be ruled out. And the stock is also seeing some amount of sideways direction in today's trade. So we believe the stock can easily correct near to those 223, 224 levels. So once the stock corrects near to 223, 224 levels, you can book some profits. At that point of time, the premium would move somewhere near to 8.5, 9 rupees. So we can book profits when the spot price corrects into 223, 224.
Okay. All right. It's that time of the show where we head into the rapid fire segment. Quick point to our two experts. Do keep your answers as short as possible so that we can fit as many questions as possible into the next 2 minutes. Let's take Arumaga Perumal's question. He's asking about BPCL. He's bought at levels of 384. Should he hold on, Sandeep, for the next year or so?
He can continue holding the stock.
Okay, well, the next question is on Biocon. We have a question from Simadri Samant. And is it a right time to buy Biocon with a 1-year view? That's the question. It's at 613. Vikas, what would your advice be?
Well, the stock has been languishing around and failing to throw those 640, 45 levels. So it should wait for some declines near to 570, 575 to invest.
Okay. Kalyani investment at 85% discount. Mayank Saraf's question. Sandeep, would you recommend for the next 10 years, he's asking?
See, these stocks somehow are very typical in nature because they are kind of investment companies. Since the time is a constraint, I won't answer long. But now for this time, he should continue holding because when markets do well, a second round of the whole bullishness comes in these kind of stocks only. So I feel that, he should continue holding the stock.
Okay, well, we have a question from Karan Singh. He wants a technical view on JK Paper. What would you do with this one? Vikas, it's currently at 146. JK Paper.
The stock has seen a sharp up move and is now resisting near to its 100-day average. So it's better you book some profits and wait for some declines.
Okay, fair call. We've got several questions. One of the people asking is Gaurav Jaggi. This is on Bharat Gears, Sandeep. Would you recommend a fresh entry at current prices?
Oh, I don't track the stock, very sorry.
Okay, Let's take the next one.
All right, we'll move on to the next one, and this one is on. We have another question on another paper company. That's West Coast Paper. Again, we require a technical view here. West Coast Paper is at 271. It's flat today. Vikas, what would you do?
Some amount of up move can still become the start near to those 295 to 300 levels. That would again cross as a strong 200-day average. So near to 295, we can book profits.
Okay, Sandeep, one quick last question. Vignesh is asking if you can think of any mid-cap name that is involved in a very niche space that you would recommend.
One mid-cap name, somehow I feel that, Sonata Software, somehow I really like the company. The fundamentals are very good, and the charts are also looking very good, and the company balance sheet somehow really gives good return ratios. The valuations are very cheap, and at these levels somehow downside risk is also very low. So I think he can certainly enter into the stock.
Okay, we're out of time, so I'm going to thank both our experts, Sandeep and Vikas, for helping our viewers with all their queries. That is all that we have on this edition of Ask BQ. Up next is Power Lunch. Stay tuned in.
वक्त ने ली करवट।